Hey, good morning. I'm Joel Thummel. I'm one of the technicians here at Davey Coach, and this morning I'd like to take you on a simple pre-trip or a walk around of your bus. I'm here to show you a pre-trip inspection, a pretty simple, nothing too in-depth. So I'm just going to start rolling. As you approach your vehicle, you'll want to look at the ground, look at the behind the tires like as you're walking up to it, just to see if you see any obvious leaks. That's the very first step. And as you continue approaching the vehicle, you're going to want to visually look at your tires, make sure there's no obvious damage, that the tire's not flattened out. Check down the side, checking out your mirror, make sure there's no obvious damage there. And as you walk to the back of the bus, this vehicle is a dual tired rear end. Most of the vehicles that you're driving will have that, so you'll want to look as best you can at the inside tire as well as the outside tire. Make sure that they're contacting the ground in similar spots, because these tires with the beauty hubcaps on them, it's hard to get a gauge inside there to test them. So at least you're looking at them and making sure that they're not flat and sitting on the ground. Check security of your gas cap. Again, being just aware that you're looking at the windows, make sure there's no cracks. As you come around the back, look for obvious damage to any of the light fixtures, the backup lights. Make sure that the bumper is not badly dented or is loose in any way. Checking again the overhead lights, just to make sure that there's no physical damage as you work your way around. I have the doors open on this one to show you the lift a little bit later, but those would be closed, so you would again look at the outside of the structure to make sure that the glass is intact, the handle's not loose. Come around and do the same thing on this side with the tires and your glass. Make sure you don't have any cracks. The right side mirror, the right side front tire the same way. You're looking for obvious damage. And a lot of people will get kind of in your own routine. I'm just showing you one of the ways that we kind of do it here. So now we're going to look in the engine compartment. They're packing them tight anymore, so it's hard to get a really in-depth overview, but you want to keep this, like I said, we're going to keep this as simple as possible. So there's an area right here where we have a number of things we can check. Your coolant reservoir, if you'll notice, there is a level line right there, and this one, you can just shake it a little bit and see the fluid move. That's in a good spot. Next we have our brake master cylinder. The fluid's very similar colored there. You can see that the line there, that's full. If it's down any lower, there's a mark on the front here, you'll notice. If it's any lower than that, you can have a couple things going on. You might have a leak, or your brake pads might be worn that far down to where now that fluid is farther out in the system instead of in the reservoir here. We also have our power steering right here. They used to do dipsticks on them. Now if you can notice on this side, they have a high and a low range, and this one is just about in the middle, which is perfect. It's where you want it to be. And then on the Fords, which most of our buses are, our oil dipstick is kind of tucked away down here, but it has a yellow ring on it. You just want to pull that out. If you have a paper towel or a rag, a lot of times I'll suggest people to put a rag off in the side here, tuck it down, then you've always got it, easy to check. And you'll want to pull it and clear the stick first. And we can show you here before. See how there's a dot there, and then they call that a crosshatch area. The oil should be above that low point and below that high point and in that crosshatch. So I'll show you here. Carefully put the stick back in the tube, seat it all the way down. And there we go. That oil is right in the middle there. Perfect. Now the other fluids that you can check in the engine compartment is the transmission, and that you'll want to check running. Right now, because our vehicle's in our bay, we're not running it, but I'll show you. It has a similar pattern there to check on that side right there. See the crosshatch here? And on this dipstick it says down here at the bottom to check while hot. When you check it early in the morning or if the transmission's cold, that line will very well be out of the crosshatch, which is normal. As long as it's on the stick, you should be alright. So even here, with it not running, you'll see that the fluid's pinkish in color. And how high it is when it's not running. Well, that pump's running, it changes the level. See what I'm saying about how tight the engine compartment is? Makes it really hard to see the belt, but here's the top of the belt. If you have a flashlight and you can look down at some of the different areas past this air filter, you'll be able to see the belt there a little bit. Just make sure it's not frayed, cracked really bad. And then the washer fluid reservoirs are sunk down in there too. That level is hard to check. It's a good idea when you start it up to cycle your wipers and the sprayer once to make sure. So we also, in the engine compartment, it's a good idea to check the security of your battery cables, the lugs. Not have to pull too hard, just give them a little twist if you can. One other thing too would be to look at any hoses that are exposed. You can see the radiator hose here, the hose to the overflow. Look close, you can make sure that you don't have any leaks, any cracks. Maybe your clamps are nice and tight too. And that should be about all you need to check in the engine compartment. So next we normally come in and we'll check our lights. We'll turn them on from the inside and we'll go around and check the outside. You want to make sure that you set your emergency brake, because at one point we will put the car or the vehicle into reverse, but we won't have the engine running. So we'll go ahead and turn on the lights, because you can't check your turn signals or the backup reverse signals without the vehicle being at least in the on position. Then we will come outside, having turned the switch to have the lights on. We'll look to make sure the headlights are illuminated, the turn signals, and the side markers. Most of the vehicles that will operate, Chevy or Ford, Dodge as well, will have a combination of marker and turn signal lights. On the overhead, on your nose cap, there should be a series of 5 lights. You want to make sure that those clearance lights are on as well. Some of the buses, longer buses, might have a mid-body side light. They can have multiple functions as marker lights as well as turn signals. So you might want to note those and check them twice when we go back around and check our turn signals. We'll have another series of marker and clearance lights here, as well as above and again on the side. We note that our license plate light is on, and then our parking lights are on. And I'll go in now and turn on the turn signals. And so here again, we'll check the front, we'll come back, check that the rear indeed is signaling. We'll do that for the left and the right. All right, so some of the vehicles have changed over the years. The new Fords will not allow you to come out of park if the emergency brake is set. So in this instance, we're going to put our foot on the regular brake pedal, put the vehicle into reverse, safely set our emergency brake, and then check our reverse lights. And that will be these two bright white lights here. And you can also hear this vehicle is equipped with a backup alarm, and most of them will be. So now I'm going to show you the wheelchair lift. There are a series of safety features designed into the OEM side as well as the bus side. If you'll notice here, these lights that are, the lower half is lit up now. As you turn the key on, you will see that we have a series of lights here. This one will let us know that the wheelchair lift will be energized. That is the wheelchair lift securement. That means the door is shut right now. This is our park brake and park position, and that light is showing that we are indeed do have our park brake on. I can release it, and now it's unlocked. And as we open the side doors, these lights will change as well, and we will have all 5 set. So here we are. So once that door is open, the sensor there will send a signal up, and that'll confirm that all the interlocks are in place and that you're safe to use the wheelchair lift. Now, you'll notice on my wheelchair that the lights are off because we have a switch down here to activate the lift. And it's a good idea to shut that off when you're not using the lift. Chance that you could run the battery down. So there, as we flip the light on, you'll notice that the pendant came to life and that the wheelchair lights are lit. Now, it's normal for the wheelchair lift to drift, and it may drift out enough to where it sets against a pair of catches that are one on each side. So we suggest when you open the side door and you're going to test your lift that you hit the fold switch just for a second, and that'll pull everything back up and it resets all the micro switches. So now we can come back and unfold and test our wheelchair lift for the day. It's a good idea to cycle this, especially in the winter, a few times. Let the interior warm up some. That'll help warm up the fluids in the hydraulic system on this wheelchair lift. And there we have it. Now your wheelchair lift is ready for the day. There's one more set of things we should check before we take off for our route. And the last things we should check is our entryway and the interior of the bus portion And as you approach the steps, you want to make sure that we don't have any of the edges peeled up or the tread peeled up on the steps. As you come in, you'll want to check the security of your handrails. Just give them a good shake. Most of our buses are equipped with first aid kits, a fire extinguisher, which has a gauge on it, and your needle should be in the green there. And your bus should also have a set of safety triangles in case there's an emergency. You'll set these up on the roadside to let other drivers know that you're having some issues and that they need to steer clear. So now, the last couple of things you'll want to check for the safety of your passengers is your chair security. And with that, we just kind of go up the aisle. We'll shake each seat just to make sure that they're secure and not loose or rattling. And then you also want to check our seat belts for operation. And you can give a little tug on them to make sure that they're secure as well. Many of the buses will also have handrails at top. You want to check the security of them as well. And that should be about it for your pre-trip. I appreciate your time today and viewing this video. Hopefully it gave you some good information. If you have any further questions, be sure to check us out at daveycoach.com or give us a call.